In 2007, Jeff Bezos paid $0 in federal income tax. His net worth that year was already in the billions. Between 2014 and 2018, as his wealth grew by over $99 billion, his effective tax rate on that growth came out to 0.98%. The warehouse workers packing his boxes paid more than that on their wages. Bezos' official salary at Amazon has long been around $80,000 a year. That number is deliberate. Wages get taxed at high rates, but the vast majority of his wealth has always come from the rising value of his Amazon shares. And under US tax law, share value is only taxed when you sell. His stake in Amazon could increase by $10 billion in a year and generate almost no tax bill at all because none of it counts as income until he decides to sell. This is completely legal. The tax code was written to treat wages and investment wealth differently, and that gap is where fortunes at Bezos' scale accumulate. Every Amazon warehouse worker paid Medicare and Social Security taxes on every dollar they earned. Bezos' net worth grew by over $99 billion across 5 years, and he paid less than 1% on that growth. When Congress has tried to close that gap, it has run into a wall. There is a rule that lets hedge fund managers pay lower tax rates than the teachers and nurses whose pension money those managers invest. It has survived repeated attempts at closure. Every time a serious bill came up, in 2007, in 2010, in 2016, the finance industry's lobbying spend spiked. The rule remains in place. While Bezos' personal tax bill stayed close to zero, Amazon was running a separate operation to pull public money toward itself. Since 2000, state and local governments have handed Amazon over $11 billion in tax breaks, cash grants, and property deals. Cities and counties competed against each other to offer the most generous packages in exchange for the promise of jobs and economic activity. Internal Amazon documents showed the company had set a target of $1 billion per year in these deals and built a dedicated team to pursue them. The warehouses were going to be built near major population centers regardless, because that is what Amazon's own delivery model required. The public subsidies were money the company did not need and went after anyway. Every dollar a county handed over in a tax break was a dollar that did not go into the local school budget or the hospital down the road. And the jobs those deals were supposed to deliver paid wages low enough that in several states, Amazon warehouse workers ranked among the largest groups enrolled in government food assistance programs. Taxpayers were covering both ends, the expansion of the company and the grocery bills of the people it employed. By the time antitrust scrutiny started building around Amazon in the late 2000s, the company had already spent years making itself difficult to regulate. In 2012, Amazon spent around $2.5 million on federal lobbying. By 2019, that figure had reached $16 million, a faster increase than any other tech company over that period, lobbying more federal agencies than any of its peers. The issues it lobbied on included privacy protections, labor laws, antitrust rules, and worker organizing rights. In 2021, the National Labor Relations Board found Amazon had illegally fired workers who were trying to organize at its Staten Island warehouse. Leaked notes from an internal meeting showed Bezos himself took part in discussions about how to discredit the worker leading that effort. In 2013, Bezos bought the Washington Post for $250 million. The paper covers Congress, the White House, and the regulatory agencies that oversee Amazon. Its owner spends around $20 million a year lobbying those same institutions. In 2026, the Post ran editorials supporting the expansion of nuclear energy, while Amazon had invested over $1 billion in nuclear energy the previous year and was simultaneously lobbying to reduce nuclear safety regulations. For any of this to change in a structural way, the tax treatment of investment wealth would need to be reformed, corporate subsidy deals would need real transparency and consequences, and the lobbying system that keeps both of those things in place would need limits it has never had. The people who would lose the most from those changes are the ones currently best positioned to stop them. In a recent interview, Bezos was asked about AI taking jobs.
People, because of the productivity gains, you're going to be able to afford things. We're going to have, I predict we'll actually have deflation of certain core, assuming we let this technology play out and don't hamstring it with regulation too early. We will actually have, everything will get, food will get cheaper and housing construction will get cheaper and so on and so on.
Is there a transition cost? I mean,
we could even solve the permitting problem I was talking about earlier for housing.
The optimism is probably genuine. The problem is that the last time a wave of productivity gains moved through the American economy, Amazon warehouse workers ended up on food stamps while the company collected $11 billion in public subsidies and its owner paid less than 1% on $99 billion in wealth growth. The gains went somewhere. They went to the same place they always go when the rules are written by the people who benefit from them most. That's the position ordinary Americans have been in for a long time, and it didn't happen by accident.